I'm looking at Congressman Devin Nunes joining me now in a Justice Exclusive to discuss the open as well as the president's rally tonight, the Kavanaugh nomination, and so much more. We have a lot to get to as California Congressman, House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes. Good evening, Congressman, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to have you in New York.
Great to be here with you.
Thank you so much. All right, I want to go right to what the president was saying. He had a lot to say about the letter that was leaked on Dr. Ford, the one that Feinstein had. Let's take a look at this sound for a second.
Remember, Dianne Feinstein, did you leak? Remember her answer. Did you leak the document? What? No, no, I didn't leak. Well, wait 1 minute. Did we leak? No, we didn't leak it.
Your take on that?
What you're seeing is the collapse of institutions in this country. It's really, really concerning. When you take a Supreme Court justice and you have senators talking about high school yearbooks, you're watching the collapse of the Senate, the collapse of the Republic. It's really, really dangerous.
What about Feinstein and her role? You and I both know, and I don't have time to go through it for all the viewers. All this stuff is supposed to be handled. She questioned him. The Senate knew everything, had the opportunity. Why?
Well, there's two things there. First, she had a responsibility to share that with Republicans. And second, she should have made sure that the FBI knew about that as they were doing an additional background check.
Is there a kickback for her? Is there a political kickback for her before she releases it to Chairman Grassley, Senate Judiciary? She gets a lawyer for the woman.
Right. Well, look, Judge Kavanaugh actually said it best. And I think every American should go back and look at his testimony. Probably skip the questions that the senators were asking, but his testimony was amazing. Every American should watch it because he talked about the scheme that they all had working together. It was clear that you had outside groups funding an attack on him, and they knew, I guarantee you, many outside groups knew that they were going to drop this bomb because it was their last second chance to try to stop Kavanaugh from becoming a Supreme Court justice. And then, of course, that happens, and then you've got all kinds of other accusations, and God only knows what's going to come out in the next week here.
And, you know, the whole idea of, you know, the insistence now that the FBI investigate. I mean, if the first 6 FBI investigations didn't indicate anything, how is this one going to be a better one?
Well, I don't even know where the FBI would start, right? Because she gave her testimony, so I doubt there's any more than that. All the other people have sworn which would be a crime if they lied.
If they go back on what they said.
So you have no witnesses, you don't know the location. How do you even start to investigate this?
And, you know, she hasn't even asked the Maryland police, for which apparently there is no statute of limitations, to investigate it. What do you think of that?
Well, because how would the police investigate it? No one can investigate this.
But she doesn't want it investigated.
Well, supposedly she didn't want her name out there in the public.
Okay,
but there's a whole group of people that are coordinating this effort, both inside in the Senate with the Democrats and on the outside with all the left-wing groups, with the media tailing right behind.
What about Flake? What's going to happen with, Heidi Heitkamp, Murkowski, Collins? What are they going to do?
I believe that the senators that are in the red states, I think if they don't vote to confirm Kavanaugh, I think they're going to be in big trouble in this election. Because one thing that's happened, Republicans are happy with the economy. I mean, every American should be happy with the economy, right? But what you're seeing is that finally Republicans are waking up, that this resistance movement, everybody thought this was a joke, like some kind of term off of Star Wars. But they're starting to see now, because of the situation that Judge Kavanaugh is in, what many of us have been dealing with for the last 2 years.
Okay, all right. And Congressman Nunes, you're going to stay right here. There's more to get to.
The entire nation has witnessed the shameless conduct of the Democrat Party. They're willing to throw away every standard of decency, justice, fairness, and due process to get their way. They don't care how they get it. You see it happening before your eyes. I think it's actually an incredible thing that's happening. And I just hope you don't sit home, because bad things will happen if you sit home.
President Trump doubles down on the Democrats at tonight's rally in West Virginia. And one of those Republicans running is House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, who is back with me here in New York in part 2 of this live Justice exclusive. You know, Chairman Nunes, you really were the topic of a lot of headlines, a lot of discussions on television as it related to the memo related to the investigation of the FISA warrant. The president last week or the week before said he was going to declassify the information relating to that. And I must tell you personally, everyone I talk to across the country wants this declassified. He was with it, declassify it, no redactions. All of a sudden he said, I'm going to give it to the Inspector General. What happened?
I'm guessing that many people that don't want this out went to the White House and had a meeting and told the president a bunch of things that weren't true. Like things about scaring that our allies don't want this out, which is a ridiculous statement. I mean, how would the allies even know what's in a FISA warrant? Right. So I think the president got a little spooked on this, then turns it over, says he's going to have the IG look at it. But look, we've worked so hard to get this information out to the American people. We want full transparency here on all the matters. Right. So there's 20 pages of the rest of the content of the FISA that we want out. And why this is so important is because this gets to the insurance policy that, remember, Strzok and Page were talking about? We believe this was the insurance policy, okay? Clearly. The content that's left. You also have people who are saying, oh, the really bad stuff, it really wasn't the dossier. It wasn't the dossier that was used, the Crystal dossier, and it wasn't the fake news stories. It was really all that stuff that's behind the redactions, okay? So it's not true. What's behind those redactions, the American people do need to know about.
All right, so let's say that, you know, if they're worried about sources and methods and national security, that stuff can come out. I mean, that's simple to do. But I wonder, is this connected to Rod Rosenstein? He's fired or he's not fired. There's a meeting, there's not a meeting. Is this about Rosenstein applying leverage of some sort? Because it seems to me he's the one who's going to fall when this is exposed.
Well, he signed the last renewal of the FISA. So really, I don't even know why he would be even involved in this process. I mean, he should not be advising the president on this because he signed the last FISA. We in Congress, everybody in Congress, the speaker, the leader, the whip, the whole Intelligence Committee, nearly every Republican has called for these documents to be declassified.
And the president did, but changed his mind.
Changed his mind. So if Rosenstein was involved in that process, I mean, that should be an immediate dismissal of whatever happened in that meeting. Because remember, every time we've moved to get things declassified, what do they say? They say that we're going to ruin national security. And what happens every time? The information comes out and it makes Department of Justice, FBI, and all the Clinton campaign people and Fusion GPS, they all look bad.
You found massive abuse. Now that it's been forwarded to the Inspector General, he's done an investigation on Comey and McCabe, and honestly, I'm not impressed, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, good for him, but there's nothing that comes of this. All right. I mean, I could have impaneled a grand jury to indict McCabe without the Inspector General giving me a 500-page report. All right. So what is the IG doing?
Look, the IG's fine. It's great.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Who cares?
But we are a separate branch of government. We created the Department of Justice. We have every right to see that information. We have decided that the American people need to see this information. The president wants the American people to see the information. So how is it possible that this can be held up? And I think all they're trying to do is stall till after the midterms. I've always believed this. But we are right at the end, right? We've got 20 pages of the content, which is the insurance policy. We have the Bruce Orr 302s, right, which are the reports.
Right.
So remember, this is Bruce Orr's wife was working for Fusion GPS, which is essentially working for the Clinton campaign as this was being funneled into the FBI to open up and start and investigate the Trump campaign. So why would we still be here, you know, nearly a month away from the elections, and we still can't get transparency out to the American people? So the president's got to do something.
Well, you know, I've heard he watches the show. So we'll see.
Too. I've seen him live on the show, calling in,
Congressman,
eating up the whole show.
Congressman, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to have you here in our studio.